Hi guys, how you going? It's Campbell here from Autodidactic channel. Hope you're having an amazing day. Alright, so today I wanted to have a look at a building I just came across that is called the Call building, and it is in San Francisco, and this be it. Now you can see this dome on the top, obviously. And look at that, we've got 4 domes around the outside as well. Square, got a dome, and then we've got this dome on the top as well. Now the picture's cut off there, so I'm not sure what was above that. Nice steeple in the background here. And as you can see, we've got these archways, there's different shaped windows, like arches, squares, arches, square, 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 arches, but they're all in complete symmetry. And this is one of those buildings that looks like, it's got different kind of architecture on different layers, like maybe it was built in sections, I don't know. But also notice, guys, this is a person standing next to the building. See that right there? Okay, so he's up to about this part of the doorway. Very big doors, very big foyer. I mean, you can see this front bit with the pillars. The entranceway is that hole. I mean, yeah, not really built for people our size, is it? Alright, so let's have a couple more looks. Now this is the building in 1906. The great earthquake and fire of San Francisco. This is the building on fire. This is the interior of the building. So you can see it's very old world architecture. Huge. Look at the size of it. Okay, now this is it again this is just after the fire, and as you can see, it's standing, it doesn't even look like it's been touched. This is an old poster or something, but again, you can just see this thing, it's just huge. There's the people up close to it. So I mean, you can imagine this dome here, it's probably about the size of that. So what would that be? That's at least 3 stories, probably 4. It's a very large dome, and yeah, this one you can see on the top. They've obviously put a flag on it, but a bit of antiquitech maybe, and these probably all had the same on them. I mean, you can see these bits jutting out from all the ribs that go up. They, who knows? I've looked, it's hard to get a close-up photo of the actual dome. Okay, so I just want to, let's just have a bit of a look here. So this is the Call building, San Francisco. So it was once the tallest building in the city and was renowned for its beauty, though the building was not demolished. It underwent a facade renovation in the 1930s, leaving it unrecognizable. So this is pretty sad, guys. Today it's called the Central Tower, and the name is as nondescript as the building itself. So in 1890, Michael DeYoung, the owner of the San Francisco Chronicle, built the first skyscraper, 280-foot Chronicle building, to house his newspaper. In response, Klaus Spreckels, a wealthy businessman with whom DeYoung had been feuding, bought the very successful San Francisco Call newspaper in 1895, intending to bring down DeYoung and the Chronicle. So they were having a dispute. So apparently the story is one of them went out and bought a newspaper to try and destroy the other guy's newspaper. And then you'll see the same year he commissioned another building that would eclipse. So he also had the money to build this and buy a newspaper in the same year. So this guy had some money, or so we're told. In September 1895, the Call wrote, "The San Francisco Call is to have the finest building ever erected for a newspaper office. It's to be built on the corner, blah, 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 of granite and white marble. It will be 15 stories tall, the highest building on this side of Chicago. Here's a picture of it from 1902. That's that massive, massive doorway. By the end of 1897, Klaus Spreckels had spent over $1 million on the construction of his new building, almost all of which was spent on the local labour and materials. Yeah, so that's probably because they found it, and that money was spent restoring it. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. So it just goes on more about the tower and the story of it. Excuse me, here's another photo, completed in 1898. Okay, so here, oh gosh, I don't want to give that away. I'm going to have to. Look, they destroyed it. They destroyed it. That's it. Today, the core building of 1997. That's what it now looks like. This, the core building painted in different shades of brown. So I'm not sure what's going on here, because that looks like the original core building. They've ripped all the top off it. Can't get a view of the bottom and the doorway, but this doesn't look like the core building. This looks like this building that's next to it. They're saying that's it, and they've painted the roof, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. Here again, this is, you know, the building. I mean, look at that, it's just amazing. And this building next to it as well, you know, with the big spires everywhere. Nice copper roof on it. You know, I've got this Antiquitech up here, fenced in areas with the spire things on each corner. And if you just look down the street here too, guys, so this is 1903. I mean, they're all old world buildings. Look at them. Okay, so the core building had survived the earthquake and fire, but in the 1930s it faced an enemy even more destructive, progress, because progress doesn't like art and beauty apparently. Some of the sandstone on the upper floors needed to be repaired or replaced, but rather than restore the 40-year-old landmark to its prime, its owner decided to remodel it in a more modern, efficient and economical building. Architect Albert Roller drew up plans to change a classic dome tower into a modern block with 21 full stories of usable rentable office space. With no architectural heritage societies, preservationists or concerned citizens, they just went about doing it. They ripped off the dome, the uneconomical top stories, which was the dome. Piece by piece, the terracotta ornaments were removed and discarded. So they're saying that was all terracotta, and they just threw it away. By November, the dome was half gone, blah, 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 and it goes down and tells about the destruction. And this is what we ended up with. This piece of just, you know, blandness. Okay, so here's a bit of the history. So this just talks about the feud. John D. Spreckels in 1895, he decided to build it. So remember they said it was finished in 1898. So this took less than 2 years to build too. Less than 2 years, guys. Back in the 1800s, you know, no machinery or anything, no cars, no trucks, and they built that in 2 years, or 2.5 years. Okay, so the building eventually stood 315 foot tall, which housed the offices of Reed and Reed, and the four corners when finished in 1898. It was the tallest building, blah, 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 damaged badly after the fire of San Francisco, but it still stood very well. Building's height, okay, so here it is. After the fire, the core reopened its offices at a new location, the Montgomery, and the former core building became known as the Spreckels Building. In 1938, Albert Roller completely refurbished the Central, it's now called Central Tower, so completely refurbished the building. The building's height was reduced, okay, reduced, it's basically 91 metres, that means, you know, they ripped the dome off, and the number of stories was increased from 15 to 21. The ornate dome and all the cupolas atop the building were removed, and they got an extra 6 stories, guys. Now, we saw in those pictures that, you know, the height here. But see, this, what that means is that means all these stories, you know, that they're big floors, that they're not, you know, it wasn't built for us. Looks like it was built for bigger people, doesn't it? And they had so much room that they literally just changed the floor levels, and they got 6 extra floors in there while taking this off. Okay, so they lost 4 stories. So when it says that they increased, okay, so the story was increased and the blah blah were removed. So they actually lost 4 stories, which means they actually added, you know, more like 10, like they doubled the floors, which means every floor was pretty much twice, you know, more than twice the height of a normal standard floor. Why would you do that? What a waste of space, especially if you're building an office building. That does not make sense. All right, so here's another photo, and this one I just sort of wanted to show you that you can see this architecture. It's everywhere. All the domes here, and again, look at the people, the size of the people. These are the doorways, but these filled in. You see this everywhere. The domes go up above the doorways, and they're always filled in with glass or with brick or with something. You know, was that the original doorway size? Because look at this one here too. That's the size of the people. Okay, can you see that? And if this had these supersized floors in it, these ones look about the same, don't they? So these are all these giant sort of buildings. What have we got here? So this is it built standing after the fire, the Great Fire of San Francisco. You can see here's another old world building. They don't look like that they've even really been touched. They told us this was terracotta. Terracotta generally, you know, under intense heat will crack. I mean, you need to fire it obviously to make terracotta, but then if you superheat it, it gets brittle. So you know, that's doing well to keep standing if it's terracotta. And this, I don't know if this was a newer building, but it hasn't fared very well at all. You can see everything sort of destroyed. These look like trams. You can see a bit of a wheel. But this looks pretty untouched. So there it is, guys. The Call building in San Francisco, built in less than 3 years. Tallest building of its time, massive dome, double-sized, you know, rooms. And then they just ripped the dome off it and turned it into an ugly, bland this. Just, you know, they're destroying our history, guys. This is what they do. They find it, they take it over, and then they destroy it and turn it into this crap. I mean, this is the people who are in control they don't like creativity. They don't like free thought. Everything has to be boxed and symmetrical and left-brained. Have you noticed that? So that's what's going on here. All right, so that's the Call building. Now, I also wanted to show you something else in San Francisco, and which is basically under the Golden Gate Bridge. So let's jump in. Sorry, guys, one more thing before we change topic is I just wanted to show you, I searched everywhere to see who built this building. I mean, to see if I could find architect plans, construction photos, you know, anything, and there was nothing. Now, I'm going to leave all these links under in the description, and there is a bit, I think it's in this one, where it goes into how it was built. Yeah, building a landmark, and they go into it, but there's nothing. It just really says they start off by building this, then they build this. When they got this big, they did this. So it's nothing technical. It doesn't tell you who was building it, what materials they were using, where the materials were coming, anything. Actually, when you read it, it says, you know, they completed this bit, then you know, all the tradesmen went in, you know, the plumbers and the finishers and the plasterers and things. So it sounds like that's all that happened. They didn't build it, they just sent in people to fix it up. But anyway, here it is. You can see, call building San Francisco architect. You know, so we get the architect Albert Roller, but all it says is, all it talks about is that, you know, the reconstruction when he ripped the dome off in 1937. See, call building 2, 1938, the appearance was radically changed. September 1937, you know, blah, 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 no architectural heritage, they did this. You know, Wikipedia, blah, blah, blah. This one has, you know, it was built in 98. But yeah, there's nothing, there's no plans, there's no nothing. It does say that the guy who ripped apart this Albert Roller was one of the original architects, Reed and Reed, Albert Roller, and then he destroyed it. Which you would do. You would design a building like that and build it, and then being the architect, you would go back and rip it all apart. That's seriously what they're saying. Architect Albert Roller drew up plans to change a classic dome tower into a modern block. And Reed and Reed, Albert Roller, circa 1897, core building. Strange stuff going on here, guys. Alright, so let's go check out the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, so here we go, guys. This is the Golden Gate Bridge. And what is this? This is called Fort Point. As you can see, red brick, symmetry. See these angles on it? And this brickwork, you know, the interlacing of the bricks that we see everywhere on old world buildings. So Fort Point, guys, did you know that this was there underneath the Golden Gate Bridge? This is an interior view of it. And you can see the bridge going over the top. You can see we've got, you know, again, perfect symmetry. Archways. It's just classic kind of the design. That's a bit of a more fuller view. It's right out on the edge of the water there. And this is just a shot from the other side. You can see there's a bit of the ramparts that they have. Obviously this is a star fort. It looks like it's maybe the edge has been taken off it on this side. Not sure. And we can see it's right on the edge of the water there and right under the bridge. But yeah, it's not the right shape. I reckon this wall's, they've done something there because it looks like half a pentagon. And these would have been on each corner, and then of course you would have had the walls, the starry walls around the outside. Now when I was looking at this, it reminded me of this. Same kind of red brick construction, and I have been, I talked about red brick on the last video because it was noticed by a few people that one of the star forts, the main walls, looks like it's red brick and coated. And when you look at this, look at the depth of these walls. They're pretty thick. There's a lot of brick. Now this is Fort Jefferson. This is on an atoll in the Florida Keys, and basically the official narrative is that they actually admit it's the biggest red brick building in the United States, consisting of over 16 million bricks. And it's literally in the middle of nowhere, guys. It's out on an atoll. So how did they get the bricks out there, and who built this thing? You're going to tell me they took 16 million bricks by boat and just to plonk it in the middle of the ocean? It's not a defensive point. And where's all the industry that was making all these bricks? That's it there. See, it's on an atoll. There's nothing there, and it's literally just in the middle of the Florida Keys. So it's, you know, as far as boats and things and it being defensive, which is what they're trying to say, I mean, the boats just sailed around it. They don't need to go near it. It's just ridiculous. It's just, oh my gosh, the stories we get told. All right, so yeah, this is still in the United States, Fort Jefferson, but that looks a lot to me like You know, you can see this rampart is the same shape. Let's have a look. See this? It's the same shape that we saw here. So this looks like it's the same design, same kind of thing. Yeah, it's just under a bridge. All right, let's have a look at this on Google Maps, hey? Okay, so here we are on Google Earth. Treasure Island, that's where it is. Never knew that. A lot of people sort of mention Alcatraz as a starport. Hey, look, I don't really see that much there. Now, there's a couple of things, but I mean, that could be, you know, who knows? And it's just a little outcropping, so if it is, it could be the top. You know, we've got different layers here. It's just very hard to sort of to see. I mean, that could be, you know, those sort of ramparty things. Not sure. But I mean, with what's going on over here, it just may be. This is the Golden Gate Bridge. So let's go down. First of all, let's go have a look. Now it's on this side. It is. Down here, and there it is. That's the fort under the bridge. Maybe that's what the Chili Peppers were talking about. They were giving us a sign, guys. Under the bridge downtown. Okay, so this is the other side of the bridge what the fort was on. Now this, as you can see, there's forts named everywhere around here. This is actually called, oh no, maybe this is, sorry. It's still just called Fort Point, I'm not sure why. But then we just have these forts all over the place. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with anything. It's obviously an old fort. You can see there's turrets in here. But yeah, but that's got anything to do with star forts or anything, I'm not sure. But if we come out here, you'll see in the landscape here, there's a big angle. See that? And it comes up here. And there's this sort of stuff around here. It's all built over. See this wall? So that graphics gone a bit off kilter. I'll see if I can turn that off. There we go. So I'm not sure. See how you can see that, make out that shape of that sort of wall thing there? So there could be a bit around here. There's obviously, you know, the fort, but this bit's sticking up by itself. But what else is there around here? Like I said, it's all seems to be covered up by mud. You know, down here in the ground, there's maybe, I've got this sort of indent here. So there is stuff around, but it's very hard to sort of say if it is a fort, and where the fort is, it's just all so covered up. Okay, now on the other side is the Presidio, which again is interesting. Now the fort's down here, so when you look at this, there, like again, there's some interesting kind of angles and stuff. It's completely built over. It looks like it's a lot of government kind of stuff. I'm not really sure, but there is some interesting angles and things in there. But I decided I'd go down the coast a bit and have a look at what's down here. And got down to this place. Not really sure where it is, just down the road from, it's basically the first bit of vacant land when you go south from the Presidio. And what did I find? Let's have a look. Come on, contrast. Gosh. Nah. Oh gosh, I can't see it now. I could see it before, but there's an old fort down in here. Looks like an old fort. And then over here there was, what was over here? Just this stuff. Just see the angles here and how that's all lowered. Right, if you look at that from the other side, see, I think it's just a car park now, but just see how it's actually in the ground. You can see there, and it's just, when you look at that, it's just got that kind of shape to it. This here looks like it's a new building, so I'm not sure what went on, but I don't know, what do you reckon about that? So it's worth, a bit of a look around this place as well. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly where that is in San Francisco. There you go, next to Lake Merced? Don't know, looks pretty murky. But yeah, so there could be a bit more in here. I just basically went down, like I said, until I found and I was just looking at, that's obviously, I think that's a golf course, that one, I'm not sure. But you just look at all the vacant bits of land and just see what's on them. Here's another one you could check out. A lot of it's just beach. So there you go, there's definitely star forts, guys, in California. Now these I've just found obviously in San Francisco. That they warrant a bit more investigation. Obviously, we know we've definitely got a red brick citadel under the bridge down there. So whatever else, I mean, and as is often the story, it's right on the edge of the water, so we don't know what's under here, obviously. When I was thinking about California too, I was looking at it, and the thing is with California is, you may know, but California used to be an island. There's maps for about a couple of 100-year period, and they all show California as an island, including islands in the water in between, and coastlines and rivers coming down. So a lot of people say, oh no, it's just a mistake, but they've actually mapped the interiors of both sides, and they have rivers and everything, so it looks pretty legit. Now, if you look at California, where's California? This bit here. I mean, you can just see this massive valley. It goes into Nevada, almost down to Mexico. So you could imagine that this bit here, see that? It's not hard, that was probably the island, is what I'm thinking. So if you're looking for anything old in California, don't look here, because it would all have been underwater. So this would be the place to look, well, that's not California, but yeah, over here on the edge of these mountains. Should be some cool stuff. Alright guys, so there we go, some nice old world architecture destroyed in San Francisco by the parasites, as they do, and star forts in San Francisco Bay, including a red brick star citadel. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that one. Just wanted to get it out there, let you guys know what is out there and what's happening, so you can hopefully look into it more yourself. Let me know what you do find. Thanks for giving me your time. Please leave me a comment, subscribe, and if you look in the more section, you'll find I've got a Facebook page and Instagram page. Like both of those, you can also get some merchandise. Autodidactic, let people know it's time to be self-educated, because our story, guys, is not his story. So that's what we're trying to work out, what our story is. Thank you for joining me. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Bye for now.